Hey, it's Kevin. Thank you for coming by for the No BS social media chat. Over the course of the last decade plus that I've been working in social media, I continue to have people walk up to me, whether it's at a party, whether it's in a social situation when they find out what I do, or just in general in initial client meetings, and they always say, do you have one thing I could take away? You got one freebie for me? Of course, I can point to 250 freebies right here in the videos. But I've looked at what I've done, what we've done, what social media has become over the course of the last 15 or so years. And it's like, to me, there are still three constants in social media. But I'm going to try to narrow it down to just one for you. Constant number one, we always say it's a marathon, not a sprint. Yes, you can have something go viral, but there's no guarantee you can sustain that. There's no guarantee you can replicate that. So it's important to build for the long run. Marathon, not a sprint. You can look back, we've talked about it numerous times. Number two, quality of follower, more important than quantity of follower. Yes, everybody looks at quantity first, but quantity isn't as important as quality. Having someone, having a fan base that if you say jump, you get X thousand people jump. I don't care if it's 1,000, I don't care if it's 10,000, I don't care if it's 20,000. If you have the power to get 20,000 people to do anything, that's amazing. Sure, you may not get them to be able to get them to fill the stadium, but at the same time, if you can get 20,000 people to buy a t-shirt, to buy a hat, to buy your product, to buy whether it's music, whatever it is, to do what you want them to do, that's huge. But those are just, well, two of the big three of the constants. I think the most important takeaway when it comes to social media in the what I call now modern era, it's that you have to be consistent with posting content. I find too many of my clients, a lot of them in the music business, who get, and don't get me wrong, get caught up in their art, as well they should, that they forget about social media sometimes. And that's why I always say it's good to have somebody, whether it's me, or whether it's somebody in your family, or whether it's somebody around you, to help with the social media. When it comes to a recording artist, it could be a tour manager, it could be a personal assistant, it could be a manager, it could be somebody who's on the road with you, whose job it is to do the social stuff, to help you with that. Yeah, you may be able to decide in the long run, but you got to have content constantly going. But when you're just starting out, it's not as easy to have somebody like that. Maybe it's a girlfriend, or a boyfriend, or a father, or a mother, or just a big fan who wants to help out. Then when you get to a point where you can afford somebody, that's when you bring in somebody like me. When it comes to a small business, it's the same thing. And I'm just as guilty of it as anybody. You sometimes go, man, business is getting in the way. I'm too busy worrying about making money and doing what I do to promote myself. Sure, there are tools for that. But I think having consistent content is key no matter what you do. I, of course, work with a lot of recording artists. I work with a lot of media personalities, some small businesses, some small charities. But I've also been engaging a lot lately with artists, painting artists, people who paint for a living. And it's interesting because they are more non-marketing focused than even recording artists. They are strictly about art, and they have a real hard time, and they struggle with the marketing aspects. They don't want to be a sellout, so they struggle with that. They function in a world where they know they have to do it, but they just don't know how to do it sometimes. And so a lot of times they'll have somebody working with them. I found it important to be consistent. I don't care if you come up with a schedule, and it doesn't have to be, I've got to do 5 times a day, if I only do 4, I failed. That's not what I'm talking about. I use the phrase all the time with my recording artists, you can't go dark. You can't go 4, 5, 6 days without doing something. I don't care if you're on vacation. I don't care if you're in the studio. Something to keep people engaged. Because what I found lately happens is people now unfollow pages, profiles, whatever you want to call them, on any social media site that they're not actively engaged with. If they don't see anything from you, it's one thing if they don't see it and they try to figure out, well, why am I not seeing their Facebook posts? To them, if you're not doing anything, they just don't want to follow you. They don't need the potential clutter. You're not important to them anymore. In the old days, it used to be you'd follow anybody, and the less they posted, the better, because they weren't clogging up your timeline. Now, if somebody follows you, there's much more value to that in their eyes. It means much more than it did before. So they want consistent content. They want good content. They want you to engage, and engagement is still the key. Being consistently consistent with your content is most important these days. As social media grows and matures, I think it's going to become ever more important. I've seen it the last couple of years. I've really watched and engaged in these numbers, and you need to make sure, I don't want to say you have a content strategy. That's great, and we've talked about content strategies, but even if it's not a strategy, just making sure you're doing something every day or every couple of days, or however you've determined works for you. I don't want you to be focused on the numbers. We talked about that. Don't become obsessed with the numbers like we talked about last week. But I think it's important to make sure you're consistent and you've got content going out all the time. Because then if you're losing people, you can look at it and go, okay, I'm either posting too much or there's some other reason, and you can delve into it that way. It's great food for thought. The one takeaway, you need consistent content. If you're looking for any social media tips, we're here for you 24/7. Phone number, email address coming up here at the end of the video. Would love to talk with you one-on-one. Again, it doesn't cost anything to call. It doesn't cost anything for an email. I would love to reach out to you. That's not where we're going to try to put a sales pitch on you. That's not what we're about. NoBSSocial.com, our website for all these videos. IntensityMedia.com, our company website. You can find the videos on Facebook. You can find them on YouTube. Don't care where you watch. Just love the fact that you do. Thanks.